What up, peeps? It's your girl, Dutch. Come back, your girl takes. What's the time? And you guys, it's a movie review time, and this is for the movie through Shudder titled Caveat. Now, this one I did a trailer reaction to. I want to say about it's probably been only a couple weeks. It wasn't that long ago. And when I noticed from the trailer, truly intrigued. Of course, being that the Shudder, I was already here for the horror. Definitely a psychological thriller from what I was taking from the way the setup on it, where this gentleman asks this other guy to babysit his niece. She has lost her family members. The last one being his brother Ed, and certain things that were happening within the trailer just had me literally and trans like, okay, what's really going on? So let me just say before I get into this is going to be a spoiler review. There's no way I can get around this. I got to speak my piece. So I want that to be very clear moving on. So let me get into it. Now, the premise of this off the cuff, of course, from the way they stated showing it, is him being some sort of drifter, and he's meeting this guy for the first time, talking to him about, I have a couple of days work for you. And he's like, babysitting. He's like, my niece. He's like, okay. But what was funny was how he was like, oh, since your accident, I hadn't seen you, whatever. And I'm like, oh, he's like, why are you looking for me, whatever. Unbeknownst to him, his whole true purpose of wanting this gentleman. There's definitely something going on there. So he eventually shows up at the house, and you see where he lets him know. He's like, okay, you didn't tell me, it's on the island, it's on water. He's like, of course, because he has a hint, like, I don't know how to swim. So pretty much he said, well, we have a boat, so you don't have to worry about that, whichever. He was like, if you told me these things. Secondly, he doesn't let him know he has to wear some sort of harness around him that has it chained up so he can't go into his niece's room. It's probably a setup because of, you can tell when you do get presented to Olga, the niece, she's definitely dealing with like a very psychologically troubled young girl. There's a lot of layers to her that they don't truly flush out. Just a couple of, statements here and there when you realize there was definitely some traumatic stuff probably going on in regards to her relationship with her parents. Now, for me, noticing the guys like, you didn't tell me first that it was on water, you didn't tell me nothing about me wearing this, whatever, and all that. I'm not sure if I'm really doing this or whatever. He was like, and when he went to show him his niece, he was like, okay, I don't want to leave this poor girl like this, because you see her like literally sitting in her room or whatever with her hands on her face. She won't move. She's literally like she's paralyzed and she doesn't want to move. So she has these little moments and instances where she'll get up and she's just, going about like nothing, in his moments where she's literally in what could be considered like a trance, where no movement, no nothing, and she'll sit there probably minutes or an hour at end, not moving at all, and that would probably make you think, something's not right. Now, eventually, Bear's like, I'll be, a couple of days, whatever, I'll be back. And he explores the home, whatever. He's not able to go so far. One of the rooms he couldn't really get into was the bathroom, so he has to use the outside area of the home. They have a pet in the back that's, kind of chained up, whatever, can't, and of course he kind of tends to and feeds it. But over time, he does get to, talk to Olga. And from there, you kind of see certain things where she makes little statements to him about certain things. And then finding out that the situation with her father, Ed, recently passing away, whichever, and then how certain things, transpired, in regards to relationship with her dad and her mother. And that's when you get to realize, where this whole thing with the harness came into play, the wife putting on whatever and all that, and him being claustrophobic. He doesn't like to be in closed spaces. When she would, put it in the basement, she went up in the door, and eventually he ends up wearing this little harness, whatever. She wouldn't let him get out of it. He tries to get the key from her. She swallows it. Just a lot of just ridiculousness of certain things that were happening. Now, in the midst of this, we do hear from, he's like, when Isaac asks, what happened to your mother, like, she ran away. And then just trying to understand, okay, with your father, he killed himself, he, committed suicide. But then it's interesting how it shifts in story when she eventually reveals to him, you played a part in it. And that's when the story definitely truly shifts, because he's like, excuse me, like, I don't know. He's like, yes, you were here. You were friends, my father, your coat's up here. You've been here before. So that right there, he's just like, I don't understand. It's called your dad, whatever. And all she's saying these things, whatever. No, like, what is she talking about? Whatever. And then it kind of opens up this thing where I'm ready to get out of here. He's like, I'm ready to go. So from there, you just kind of see where pretty much, the dynamic of getting the key, she doesn't trust him, she does something to his fingers when he tries to cut through this little hole, whatever. Then he's trying his best, to, not deal with her. There's a bow and arrow that she likes to take out sometimes and shoot up things. Just ridiculous. And then it finally, you see the scene of her, like, where you see that, oh no, mommy didn't run away. She isn't within the walls. There's a scene in the trailer where you see this little hole. Come to find out she's in there, but now everything seems to be what it is in regards to her mother. There is this little drumming bunny, which you notice in the trailer where it can, I'm assuming, play when it feels some sort of evil spirit entities around with it and all that. And after that, it doesn't play anymore. It just stops, kind of like giving you some sort of guidance of sorts, letting you know you might be entering a situation where you're not alone, whatever. Just creepy. And in the trailer, the thing was creepy too, because when the girl's holding it in front, it's just like, oh God. So from there, he eventually tries to reach out to Barrett, and Barrett's like, I'm coming, with him and all. But come to find out, as time goes on, with him dealing with him trying to stay alive, her shooting him with that bow and arrow too after she messed his finger up, whatever, he starts to remember stuff because at first, you're thinking he's a drifter. No, he's not a drifter, and the whole point of Barrett wanting to use him, whatever and all, because he's like, he wanted him to deal with his brother because they were secrets he's keeping, and then you deal with the situation when, let me go ahead and get rid of you because at first you didn't want to go on it. And in the end, he had nothing truly to do with the brother's death, whatever. That lets you know Barrett had done some things before that, set up the situation, and when he got over there, that would be his kind of way of making it seem like he did this. We'll pay you to deal with my brother, whichever, and then I can, you take this money, I don't have to ever see you again. Since it really didn't, pan out slowly the way he wants, Barrett eventually does show up at his place, whatever, giving him some time to think about the whole situation because he wants him just to be done. I don't want this to come up again. I don't want some cops showing up in my home, telling me, did you have something to do, with your brothers, whichever. He's the cause of Isaac losing some of his memory. So in the midst of Isaac being in Olga's room, hiding from her, for trying not to kill him because of what he did to her father, it lets him, finally he starts having those flashbacks and memories come back, whatever and all that. He tries to find a way out the house. He crawls in through parts of the house and the walls, whatever, and that's when he stumbles across Olga's mother. And if you've seen the trailer, she looks creepy as heck. Of course, definitely like she's died, like maybe of some suffocation, whatever, being in the walls, whatever, gauntly looking, whatever, eyes kind of shooting out of her face, whatever. All you see is her teeth because her mouth is not closed, and she's just straight creepy. But like I said, everything doesn't seem to be, appears to be, you get the sense that she's not dead. And that was the creepy factor with her because there were times when they constantly kept making him turn the flashlight, see in the darkness, and you think you see a presence, and then all of a sudden it moves or whatever. The part that got me was the scene of her and him trying to cut through the wall, whatever, before that bunny started jamming away with the drums. Every time he kept turning back, you would think she was moving. And then he takes off the little hat he had on and put it on her face. And every time he turned around, there was this thing where you see where it looks like she cut a part of a hole in the hat and was staring at him. And I swear to God, I'm like, what in the actual? Just like, I was like, yeah, you need to hurry and get up out of there. But I'll just end it with the conclusion of Barrett shows up. He's mad at Olga because she couldn't do the fullest little bit of instructions, whatever. She doesn't want to be mad, but then she gets the upper hand and shoots a bow arrow on him to kind of, hurt him. By the time Barrett realizes through the hole that, of course, Olga's body's there, and at first he thinks he sees Isaac. Isaac eventually finds a way out of her, and he calls on the speaker saying, "Hey, I got out. I'll send someone." And Barrett doesn't realize he's thinking that he was still in the home cutting the cardboard of the wall out to get out. That's not him. That's Olga's mom. And straight creepy. And all the while, Olga, when he was able, he does end up having her, Isaac does put her early on in the movie, excuse me, in regards to put her in that little harness with the chains, whatever, and all. So she can't leave the house. Also, pretty much the two people who were causing him so much stress and anxiety, being that he thought he would never get out, they were going to try to kill him, are the two people who will now be pretty much stuck in that house. Because Barrett's locked downstairs, Olga's locked him in there, whatever. She shot him with the bow and arrow. She can't leave the house at all. She's chained up. That's pretty much it. He's not going to send anybody. I was just like, when he said it, I was like, okay, you say that, to make them feel good, whatever and all that. When Barrett truly, because out of all of them, Barrett really truly is the villain in this instance. He wanted to be rid of his brother because he knew certain secrets, whatever. They never delved into that. It just kind of made that the whole harness as to what was the main purpose of what he wanted to do to his brother and why he was using Isaac to help him do it. The situation with Olga, her dealing with whatever situation she had with her parents and her mother probably being the callous of a lot of the trauma she probably was dealing with, because the only issue her father really had was the fact that he didn't like to be in close spaces. He was a claustrophobe. He didn't like that. And the wife knew that and took advantage of that. So Olga pretty much in those ways instanced it, but the fact that her going to the point of trying to kill him, thinking he was involved with her father's death, not I can't even blame her in that instance, but just to the degree. Definitely was creeping factor, I'ma tell you, ain't no way you gonna put me in anything like that. As soon as I know that, I'm like, nah, I wouldn't have did that. But just to know that Barrett knew what was up, he knew the guy from the beginning. He led him on to thinking, oh, you're looking for me, looking for what? Like, okay, why are you looking for me? You're gonna go to anybody else to find someone to go and babysit your niece. You wanted it to be me purposely, unbeknownst to him because he has no memory. He doesn't remember anybody. I don't remember coming here. Actually, you did. We do see the flashbacks and just culminate, whatever. So I really enjoyed the overall premise of the film, whatever the was set up, because I wasn't expecting that type of real reveal with that, knowing that yeah, he was aware he might have not have killed his Ed, the brother, but you were there. You know, things transpired, conversations did happen, whatever, and all that. You didn't go to the authorities, whichever. So it was like all these little layers of how it could have went, and Barrett trying to cover his tracks, trying to deal with him, and in an instance, trying to deal with him all together to be done with him, so he can just move on. And then out here on a secluded water, the guy can't swim. So all these little things he probably was fully aware of, whatever, and use it to his advantage. So definitely a good insight in regards to the overall storyline. I really did enjoy, but I will say one thing before I tell you my overall rating on this. The guy who played Isaac, whatever the was like, certain things he was doing in the movie was driving me freaking crazy. It was just like, buddy, when he would go back in there, when he was finally freed of the harness, he had the key, and I was just like, why? But again, I have to always remind myself it's a continuation of the story, because you would think, as I say, real life, nobody would want to do that. Why would you put yourself back in a situation, all that? But it added a little bit extra, and certain things wouldn't have been revealed if he'd not gone back in there and then Olga start, doing what she was doing to him, the torment of, torturing him with the bow and arrow and other little things, whatever, and then him remembering everything of what really happened to Barrett, and then what happened with, Barrett Ed's his brother. So in the end, I did enjoy it out. My rating out of a 10, I'll give this about a 7.5. I really did enjoy this truly immensely. So with that said, you guys, I hope you enjoyed my movie review. And with that said, I'll see you guys on the next one. You guys take care.